A disturbing incident recently emerged. A commercial motorcyclist, commonly referred to as a bikeman, was accused of sexually violating a 10-year-old girl. He was apprehended by local residents, and while being escorted to the police station, he reportedly threw himself in front of a moving truck and died. While the immediate emotional response is one of rage and disgust, this tragedy also raises critical questions about the why behind such acts. What compels an adult man to assault a child? Could anything have prevented this? And perhaps, most controversially, would legal, regulated access to sex work have made a difference? These questions are not comfortable to ask, but they are necessary. If society hopes to reduce such crimes, it must be willing to examine the root causes of sexual violence and explore bold, even controversial solutions. Sexual violence against children is a particularly heinous act that elicits universal condemnation. However, to address it meaningfully, we must look beyond the label of evil and try to understand the psychological, social, and structural factors that contribute to such behavior. While some offenders are indeed driven by pathological or predatory instincts, others may be products of environments marked by ignorance, poverty, untreated trauma, and profound sexual repression. Sexual behavior is natural, but when distorted by mental illness, emotional immaturity, repression, or lack of healthy outlets, it can become dangerous, especially in societies where sex is taboo and rarely discussed openly. Furthermore, in many developing countries, sex education is either minimal or completely absent. Discussions about healthy sexuality, consent, boundaries, and impulse control are rarely had in homes, schools, or in religious institutions. Instead, the topic is buried beneath silence, judgment, and moral policing. This vacuum of knowledge often leads individuals to learn about sex through pornography, hearsay, or abusive experiences, none which provides the framework for responsible behavior. Given this backdrop, it's reasonable to ask whether legal, safe, and accessible sex work could serve as a preventive measure against certain forms of sexual violence. While the idea may seem controversial, even offensive to some, it's not about justifying predatory behavior. Rather, it's about recognizing that some individuals might have made different choices if society had provided healthier, safer, and more responsible outlets for sexual expression. In countries like Netherlands, Germany, and New Zealand, where sex work is legalized and regulated, research has shown promising outcomes: reduction in sexual violence, improved public health, additional tax revenue, and societal shift towards destigmatizing conversation around sex. Legal sex work creates structured, consenting spaces for adult sexual needs to be met, helping to separate desires from danger and unmet urges from criminal behavior. Legalizing sex work won't eliminate all abuse. Disorders like pedophiles require clinical treatment, not redirections. However, for those driven by unmet needs, mental health issues, or social neglect, access to regulated sex work could be one tool in preventing sexual violence. Perhaps the most dangerous factor in societies plagued by sexual violence is a culture of silence. When sex is shamed and not openly discussed, when children are told to keep quiet and adults to suppress their desires, a secretive environment takes root. This secrecy fosters ignorance, which breeds fear, and fear leads to repression. When sexual needs and impulses cannot be expressed or understood safely, they may manifest in harmful and sometimes violent ways. In contrast, open dialogue and comprehensive sex education